Where I actually first started the love of video games, I don't know if you remember it, but when they used to have the old Atari game consoles, that's where I first got introduced to games. And then I noticed that the arcade graphics were slightly better than the home versions. Like, if anybody remembers playing the old Atari versions, it was almost like a little blurry stick man, and you'd be controlling that. You know, the arcade versions were far superior. The way I got into it was a number of years ago. I walked into a place called Active Coin, and I was looking for an old video game called Kung Fu Master, and they didn't have one, and they directed me to a guy that did have one. So I picked up that game from him, and afterwards I told him other games I wanted, and he says, no, I'm not making any more. He says, how about if I sell you the parts and you build them yourself? It's not that difficult. I'll tell you how to do it. So then I started building them myself. Just recently, what's happened is there's been more of an influx of people interested in old school games, and there's been the advent of 60-in-1 games, 138-in-1 games. But some people want the arcade experience, but they want the game to be almost like a piece of furniture. You know, something that they can display, show to their friends. So what I do is I just make this sort of standard model here. This is how I get it. And then the next stage that I do is I'll get a bunch of 1x3s and I'll make frames. And you can actually see this here, is this one has the front on, the back on, and then the sides got bolted on. This is the finished product. This is with the door installed. The door's on a hinge, so you can actually open the game up. You can adjust whether it's free play or whether it costs money to play these games. Each of the games, some use 1 button, some use 2, some use 3. And that's 1 player or 2 player. People like these games based on nostalgia, you know. It was a game I played when I was a kid, when I was 14, going to the arcade. So a lot of those people now are looking for the same game that they played in the arcade when they were like 14 or 15 years old.